That's not supposed to be in my hand, mate. Fubar, mate, I believe they call it. It's up beyond all recognition. Look at that. Oh.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Alex.
I'm Adam. Am I?
Yeah, you are.
I am.
Oh, you got it. You got it in one. That's amazing. And what we're going to do today, Adam, is to have a look at our brand new high mileage Hero. This car has got 540,000 miles on the clock. First impressions, please.
Well, I don't believe the mileage. There is a few things I've already noticed on it.
I've done a very good thing, haven't I? 10 points to me, right? 10 points.
No.
It was, no?
No.
Oh, come on. Anyway, should we get the car in the air, have a proper look, and then you're going to give me a quote to tell me how much it would cost to get this car running right?
What we can't do is take the head off on this one. It's not really the done thing with PD engines. They're not skimmable to start with, so if we find any deviation in the head, we can't repair it. It will have to be replaced.
Yeah,
so it's just not worth pulling it apart this time like we did with Miles.
Because if we do that and then we break the engine, then we're f***ed. Anyway, let's get the car in the air. Two things to point out. First thing, all four tyres are Michelins.
They're not cheap tyres either, which shows that whoever's had this car doesn't mind spending a few quid on it.
And the second thing that you noticed?
Yeah, rare, especially for a car with this mileage. I think I've never seen a car in here with this mileage, but all 5 nut covers you'll see are on that one. Same for all the other wheels, and you'll see cars with 10,000 miles on with those missing. So again, someone's really looked after this. So we're going to take all 4 wheels off so that we can check the brakes and the suspension a little bit more thoroughly. I have seen MOT testers advise for corrosion on the shock body. I wouldn't say there was really too much wrong with it. We'll put it in the price. See the bump stop just there starting to peel apart. So coil springs, this one on this side, no cracks. There's not even any paint missing off of that spring. I'd say that had been replaced.
Yeah, I reckon.
I did question the state of the rear discs when we were looking through them. They're actually really good. And there's loads of meat on the pads still.
I've bought a beaut here, haven't I?
This one corner that we've looked at so far suggests that the car's perfect.
My track record recently has been amazing.
Since you've had me and Jack on board.
Why have you two all of a sudden started popping up in all the videos?
Because I want to do less work.
Minimum thickness on this particular brake disc is 23 millimeters, and that is 22.9. One thing I have noticed as well, although the pads have got a lot of life left in them, these have actually started to rust the backing plate. So disc sand pads on the front is going to be the first thing that we put on the list. This is the wear sensor just here, and it is not connected. It's been taped to the loom just there and joined together. Yeah. Unfortunately, they've done it by cutting the wiring plug off, so that wear sensor can't be put back in place. That is something that we'd need to look at rectifying. Luckily, the top arms are in really good condition, as we said. Yep. That bush is ever so slightly starting to crack. Other than that, this end of the suspension looks really good. Alex.
Yes, Adam.
That's not supposed to be in my hand, mate. We've also noticed that this rear disc is in considerably worse state than the one that was on the other side. So that's a pair of rear springs, and a pair of rear discs, and a set of rear pads. Looks like you bought another winner, mate.
You're welcome. Right, so Adam, here we are underneath Junior. First impressions, a lot of plastic, but the metal that there is not actually too bad.
It's not too bad at all, mate. And it is all clean, fresh metal. It looks like it's had a slight knock at the back.
You wouldn't say that a big red lorry has crashed into it?
I wouldn't say that it had been hit by a Royal Mail lorry, no.
Shall I just go home?
This left-hand side of the car is definitely worse than the right-hand side of the car, but that's relatively normal in this country because the left-hand side of the car is the side of the car that drives through the gutter.
Yeah, very
so
true.
all of the salt gets thrown up the left-hand side more than it does the right-hand side. Anything that's rubber, as we've found everywhere else, the brake pipes, everything is still in good condition. The subframe hasn't fared so well, unfortunately. It didn't put anywhere near the same level of protection on the subframe, the bolt-on parts, as they did the main monocoque body. But it's not rotten. It's just, again, all surface corrosion where the protection has come off.
Original exhaust.
Original exhaust.
You can see the date here, 0603.
One thing I am quite surprised to see, this exhaust clamp just here, it's a sleeve joint. This normally corrodes away and you'll end up with an exhaust blow. Yes, it's covered in rust, but it is not corroded away. Same with the fuel tank strap just here. You can see, if you compare that fuel tank strap just there, I wouldn't be too surprised to find out that that one was new, to be quite honest. CV boot, it's not split, it's still in good condition, but you would either get an MOT advisory or possibly a fail because the clip's actually not doing its job. Just want to draw your attention to this drop link bush, which is basically popping out of the drop link. It's gone. There's nothing under here that I wouldn't expect to see on a car with, I would say half the mileage, but a quarter of the mileage. It's sort of a 100 and some 1,000 mile car.
Wow. Maybe we should just clock it back to 100,000 and sell it for £1,000. Huh? Hey.
So there's a bit of oil under here. Again, as expected, if you look up the passenger side of the engine, clean and dry. Driver's side of the engine, even the starter motor is covered in oil. That is 17 years, 500,000 miles worth of build up. There's no leak there, if that makes sense. This part of the moulding is actually the pipe that delivers the boost from this side of the car to this side of the car. So if that rusts through, you will get a boost leak.
So looking underneath the car, what needs to be replaced?
Pair of drop links, pair of rear springs. We're still on disc and pads. Really, good time while we're down here to check the belt, which is actually in really good condition.
I mean, it's certainly a car that's been very well looked after.
Definitely.
And just how well looked after I can tell you now, because the service history book is full to bursting, with yearly entries at 22,500 miles, 45,000, 63, 84, 105 and so on. Then at the 300,000 mark, the service happens every 6 months, spilling into extra pages and onto the back of the service book. Which reminds me, Junior is due a service now.
So yeah, other than the drop links, there's next to all to do really. So we'll drop it down and have a look in the engine now.
Awesome.
Is that useful for you, Jack? Oh!
The first thing that you'll notice is the air conditioning condenser has had one hell of a whack at some point.
As you would say in the trade, it is
Foobar, mate, I believe they call it. It's up beyond all recognition. Yeah, it's mullered, mate. I'd be surprised if it holds gas. So that's the engine cover off. That's your oil down the bottom. It's coming from the EGR. Look. We'll just pop the timing belt cover off. That is a genuine timing belt. And at 540,000 miles, it's definitely not the original. So this car has been dealer looked after, guarantee. The fact that the writing's still there all the way across, it's not really faded. I would say that was probably within the last 20,000 miles.
Nice.
You can see how clean the air filter is from here. It is fairly dirty, so I would imagine its last service was probably an interim service, and the next one would have an air filter on it, so it's probably due changing at some point. It's got the top of the turbo visible here where it goes back to the cat. The cat's still there, which is also surprising. The turbo looks very healthy indeed, to be quite honest.
Excellent.
Again, looking at the top side of the belt and the pulleys, that tensioner is probably the result of the slight squeaking that we've got. If you look down on it, you'll see that it's offset. That tensioner's failing, so that tensioner will want replacing at some point.
Nice and cheap?
Not really.
Oh, no.
Dipstick tube is still in one piece. Looking for any signs of water on the oil, we'll just double check the cap, make sure we've got no mayo in there. That's looking good. You may notice that there is no fuel injectors visible on the top of the engine. There's no fuel pipes visible on the top of the engine. All of it is done inside the head.
I may have just farted.
Thank you.
Anyway, back to the car and Adam gets to work removing the exhaust gas recirculation or EGR valve.
Look at that.
Oh, that looks clean as a whistle.
That's worse than Miles's was, wasn't it? Should we give it a clean?
Can we just pour petrol in it and just set it alight?
So one thing I've noticed straight away is this seal has been sat there for so long that it's not even proud of the EGR mating face. So in an ideal world, if we had a seal on hand, we would replace that. The exhaust gases come up here, and when the vacuum operates on this actuator, it lifts this shaft upwards. Right around where it seals, it's actually not, I mean, it's minging, but also you've got a big build-up on the shaft just here and a clear section, look. So that's obviously been moving, otherwise the build-up would be all the way up the shaft. When you turn the engine off, vacuum applies here and it pulls that. That stops the air going into the engine to make sure it shuts off straight away. Stop it overrunning.
With the EGR valve looked at, it's time to get it cleaned up, ready for another 500,000 miles of loyal service.
Right, so the last piece of the puzzle is that Adam has plugged Junior into your box of tricks.
Yep.
And we have some faults.
The good news is the engine has passed. So the first faulted module is the brake module, the air conditioning, central flat motor, no voltage, recirculation flat motor, no voltage, high pressure sensor, signal too low. So that damaged air conditioning condenser has let all the gas out. So that needs to be replaced before the system could be gassed.
How much roughly is one of those?
They're £100+ plus fitting, and then you've got 50 quid or so to regas it. Front passenger airbag crash sensor, open circuit. Front passenger front airbag crash sensor, faulted electrical circuit. Given the state of the air conditioning condenser, I would say that it's been in a front end shunt at some point because it's all been pushed back. What's probably happened is the crash sensors haven't been replaced. So what we'll go ahead and do now, there's nothing in there that looks ridiculously drastic other than the airbag ones. We'll go ahead and do a global clear. Now you'll see that when it gets to airbag, it will come back with a fault again. But that airbag light, that needs fixing. That's
Take
a
the light
safety
out,
issue.
right?
Take the light out, put some tape over it, something like that.
Top tip from Box Fitness.
No, we need to find the crash sensor. If it fully clears that and then reactivates the system without the fault being rectified, short to ground, the airbag will go off.
You've done a full inspection. Overall thoughts?
I wouldn't mind giving 500 quid for this car.
Deal. Sold.
Wouldn't mind, not would give.
Go away, tot up the price, and then come back to me with a good price, and then we'll see how much Junior would actually cost to get to really good spec again.
Cool,
Do
no
that?
problem, I'll get it done. This is the best aftermarket out there. So we've gone for Brembo for the brakes, for example.
I'm going to guess now how much I think all these repairs come up to, and my guess is £1,360, which would be 6 times the value of Junior.
You're not far off. Including the plates, you'd be at about 1,520 quid. Both front crash sensors, they were a whopping £123.25 each. There's plenty to write home about, really, isn't there, on
A
it?
lot of life left in the old boy yet.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
And when you want to convert it into an invoice, let me know.
All right, yeah, we might not do that. Let us know what you guys want to see with Junior. Jack keeps on saying truck cab it. We're not going to truck cab it. Sorry, Jack. It could be another high mileage hero series. We don't know. It's up to you guys because obviously we cater for you. If you like what you see on the channel, make sure you subscribe over there. And to watch more episodes, the link is over there. It usually takes a bit of a while to find, but there. Cool. Anyway. See you next time. Bye. Oops, go that.
Going that way.
I'm going to go this way. Bye.